Welcome back to Frederick Advice Givers. I am Eric Verdi, and to my right here this week is Alderman Roger Wilson. Thanks for joining us, man.
Eric, glad to be aboard.
I've been trying to get on your docket, get on your schedule for a while now. You're a busy man about town, so I'm happy to have Alderman Wilson join us. He's been a pillar of the community for 23 years now, and is doing a lot of good things downtown, as are all the aldermen and the mayor. Politics is something that I try to stay on the outside of, but I do have respect of what you guys do and what you go through on a daily basis. I guess you're either appeasing half the people or you're making half the people mad. That's right?
Right.
So Alderman Wilson, tell our listeners your backstory. Where did you grow up? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
Well, Eric, again, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your viewers and listeners.
Awesome.
It's always wonderful to kind of communicate out and let people know what's going on in their local government. It's a lot of activities, things that we don't normally see happening and hear about. And it's always good for public officials to communicate and educate the community.
And I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, so my background, I grew up in southwestern Virginia, Martinsville, Virginia. It's a small town, about 13,000 citizens there. And I grew up, I left the city of Martinsville back in 1990 and went to Richmond, Virginia, to VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. And did 4 years there and graduated in 1994. It seems such a short time away, but actually it's been a while. And it was a wonderful experience, but I knew that I needed to get a job once I graduated. So I came to the Washington, D.C. area, enrolled in the MBA program at the University of Maryland, and kind of set my roots here. My wife and I, at the time, were down in Alexandria, Virginia, and she got a new job, and the new job was in Frederick at State Farm Insurance. So awesome. That's what brought us here back in 96, 97 time frame. And we had all kinds of choices of living anywhere in the United States, around the world, because I was working with IBM at the time.
Okay.
But we chose to stay here in Frederick. This is our home, and all of our girls, we had 3 girls, and they were all born here.
What are their ages?
18, 16, and 15, okay?
You're about to go to that college phase.
Right,
Oh
right.
my gosh.
So we're getting ready to have a big bill in the Wilson
Yes,
household.
you are.
But it's been a wonderful experience. Frederick is a wonderful place to live. I think it's the best place to live in the world, so.
I totally agree. Doing 173 other interviews, some people are native to Frederick, some have moved here, but an attraction that almost everybody has when they move in is downtown Frederick. Like there is nothing like downtown Frederick. The vibe of downtown Frederick, the community of Frederick.
Right. I mean, it's hip and historic. That's what we say.
I like that.
Right. And I often tell people, Frederick is such a special place because of its commerce, because of its history, because of its people. And that hip and historic theme is something that resonates throughout the state and something that resonates throughout the country, in my travels. So.
Awesome. So is your wife still in the insurance industry?
No, she's since then gone back and gotten her education. She's kind of transitioned from the insurance private industry. Now she's a mental health therapist. Okay. And she's focused on providing mental health services to adolescents, which is a big need.
That's a huge need.
Yeah.
A huge need for local here in Frederick.
Yeah, she's visiting the schools and visiting homes, and so she's making a major impact in the community. So we're very proud of her.
Awesome, awesome. So how long have you been in politics? When did you start? When did you run? When was your initial run?
So I had an initial run back in 2013, 2014. Okay. For state office. Okay. House of Delegates. Unfortunately, I came in third. There were 2 positions that were elected offices that were being campaigned for, and I came in a third. Had a good showing. first time campaigning, transitioning from private life into public life. And I enjoyed the experience, but I said that I was going to do it again, and I got the opportunity to campaign for the Board of Aldermen back in 2017, and I was successful.
Awesome. And how many aldermen are there?
There are 4 other aldermen, so a total of 5.
5 total.
Okay, and then we have a strong mayor in our charter of government.
Right. So your elections, are they staggered with the 5 of you, or are they all 5 every 2 years, every 4 years?
Every 4 years, we elect our mayor and Board of Aldermen.
Okay.
There are no term limits. So that's important to know. A lot of people don't know that you can be the mayor for life, you can be an alderman for life, as long as you keep getting elected.
Right.
Yeah, so we've had just recently one of our Board of Aldermen, Board of Alderwomen, Donna Kazumchak, she's been on the board for about 17 years. So, and then our longest running mayor in history was Ron Young. I think he was mayor for about 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know the role of an alderman, explain your role in the city government. It's city just, right? Not county, city.
City.
And you have to be a resident of the city?
You have to be a resident of the city to serve as an elected official.
Right. Okay,
for the city. So Board of Aldermen, let's first of all talk about the term alderman. It is an Old English term. It means elder of the community, and you're essentially acting as a legislator. It's you're part of the legislative branch of the government here locally, and we make policy. We're part-time. We're not full-time, so we make policy. For example, if we need to raise your water and sewer rates, then we will make that policy change. Okay. If there is a problem that you identify, a constituent identifies, and they need to take it through the legislative process, then you would contact your local legislator. Okay. We make policy. The mayor, on the other hand, here, they enforce policy. They are a strong mayor. They run the day-to-day operations of the city. So when it comes time for like services such as trash pickup and snow removal, filling a pothole, you want to contact your mayor. Okay, that's what the mayor is for. And if you want a legislative fix, okay, if you want to increase fees or something, you would lobby your legislator. And it's been a real joy in the last 2 years as an alderman. One of the other roles that you play is responding to constituents. So constituent services is a huge plus that I love to do. I often go into the grocery store and to the post office on the street, and people reach out to you, and they have concerns and issues, and so local government is just a wonderful way to interact with local constituents, and I think it's the most impactful.
Awesome. Alderman Wilson, let's take it back on a personal level now.
Okay.
What's the last purchase that you splurged on for either yourself or your family?
Wow. I would say a big trip we went to Europe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we took a tour of Europe. We started out in London, went to Barcelona, went to Paris, France, and then it was wonderful, just a wonderful event. And I think that's something that we want to do very soon. Travel is, it's not just enjoying the time, but it's also getting an education on the history, local history there. And that's something that probably we want to do again very soon.
Absolutely. My wife and I are taking our 2 boys, who will be 12 and 10, this summer to Italy
Oh, sure.
And we think they're at a really good age now where
Sure.
they'll actually remember it and remember some of the history and learn. So
Sure.
yeah, absolutely, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what hobby or interest outside of work and outside of your daily activities could you spend hours doing?
Wow. Probably bicycling.
Okay.
Yeah, I bicycle. I don't get a chance to often do that, but it's something that I love doing when I get the opportunity to do. Bicycling around Frederick County is such a wonderful experience because you get to see the rolling hills, and you get an opportunity to be outside.
Right.
It's just, pardon the term, just a breath of fresh air that Frederick County has to offer. Another one of my hobbies is golfing. I love to golf, but if I had to choose between one of the two, it would be bicycling. Yep.
Oh, awesome. I know you're got to be PC with all the shops in town, but have you tried out Pedigo bikes yet?
Yes, I've been by there, and
Okay.
it's actually a wonderful experience to go in there. They really treat their customers so well. They actually guide them through,
Right.
what bicycling is all about.
And they have tours of downtown Frederick
That's
and
right.
even outside of the city, which is awesome.
Yeah. I've always thought that they are a very good asset for the community.
Yep, and a great location down there by the visitor center.
Mhm.
So what, Alderman Wilson, what's that drive inside of you that gets you going in the morning? What's your why?
Wow. So each morning it's quite interesting. I do a few things. When I wake up every morning, first of all, I am spiritual. I thank the good Lord for another opportunity to serve. Okay. I make my bed up. All right. And I kiss my wife. And I think that's something I've been doing for as long as I can remember. And, the why for me is my purpose in life. And I figured this out. It took me a while to figure it out. But serving others.
Okay.
And, getting people to where they need to and want to be. That's always been my kind of goal and purpose in life. So I enjoy doing what I do every day. I always ask in my prayers to help someone. Okay. There are a lot of issues and struggles out here, but if you can just help someone, during the day and encourage someone, then I declare that day to be successful.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's a time in life we all kind of grow and evolve of your why changes. My why when I was 25 is different
Sure.
than my why when I'm 42.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it'll be different when I'm 60.
Yeah, if you, I know when my girls came along, that was it's a little different. I started thinking more about something bigger than myself.
Right.
And it's very humbling. Once the first child comes, you're wondering, wow, I got this. And what do we do with
Right,
this
right.
human being? Okay, that you're responsible for.
You're 100% responsible.
Yeah, a book doesn't come with it, so you're learning as you go. And by the time the third child came, I mean she's learning from the first two.
Right.
And we learned quite a bit from the first two. But it's been a wonderful experience raising those three daughters. Yeah.
Awesome. So you're fairly new into politics and the political world within the last 5 years, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what advice would you give somebody just starting out with political aspirations?
Mm-hmm.
What are the steps that you take?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I would challenge those individuals that are thinking about, getting into politics. It's not just about the celebrity piece of it. You're a public official. Your name is everywhere, but what comes with that is a lot of responsibility, and you got to do the work. If there's a constituent that needs a response, you got to follow up. Okay, and I would encourage, or just let people know that if they're thinking about getting into politics and serving the public, then they're getting in it for the right reasons. and not just getting in it for a title. It's not about getting a title. It's about actually serving in your capacity. And so for young people that are thinking about doing this, I would say seize your power. You have a tremendous gifts and talents that you could give back to the community. It's not necessarily being elected in an elected office. You can do it in a capacity of a nonprofit. But serve. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you speak of nonprofits. Frederick is awesome for the amount of nonprofits that we have that just serve so many, from youth to mental health to substance abuse to elderly.
Right, Eric.
The amount of nonprofits in and around Frederick is beautiful. And everybody that I meet has a passion, or not everybody, but most people that I meet have a passion for helping some industry. And that's great. It doesn't matter if it is youth or is substance or is homelessness. Help somebody, give back somewhere, right?
Right. It's Frederick is, and that's one of the things I love about Frederick, is because it's a very giving community. We have probably close to 300 nonprofits here, and a lot of times they're stepping on each other. But it tells me that the people here have gifts and talents that they want to, share with the community, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. So, Alderman Wilson, on the flip side of the advice that you just gave, what was maybe something in the political world, your political aspirations, advice that somebody gave you that didn't turn out like they said it would, and or a learning experience that you've learned that didn't work out like when you initially thought it was going to?
Well, I would say the biggest thing that I've learned being in my role as a public official is that follow-up is important. Whether it be you get contacted, while you're in the grocery store, you're shopping, for a loaf of bread. If someone contacts you and comes up to you and they're concerned about their issue, you need to follow up with them, okay? I've experienced other situations when follow-up was not done. And constituents get let down, okay? Emails that are not followed up on. Constituents feel like, contacting their local government is almost like a waste of time. And I want to make sure that that is changed, okay? And just one constituent at a time. That you got to do follow-up, you got to do the work. And if you can't follow up immediately, stick to the 24-hour rule. Let them know that you're going to follow up with them eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of in any walk of life, especially if you're an entrepreneur or business owner. If you don't follow up, what is it? One bad review or one bad comment.
Right,
I emailed Alderman Wilson 3 times and I never heard back from him. That's going to get out there more than, hey, Alderman Wilson responded within 15 minutes.
Right.
So
it happens often, and so also I think what you say, what you do is scrutinized more than as a private citizen.
It absolutely is.
And so in today's politics, every word is measured, and every word that's written down on paper is measured. And so with that comes responsibility. And I think that's, the challenge for elected officials in today's time, that with the addition of social media and everybody has a phone that they're carrying around and a camera, that, the visibility on, if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, guess what? The world is going to know.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I don't know how you do it. If I have a client that's that I'm not getting along with,
yeah, sure.
I can fire the client.
Right.
If you have a constituent that is raising ruckus, you have to address that. You can't fire that constituent, right?
Right. Yeah, they're a taxpayer, and they're paying your paycheck basically. Right. So we cannot forget that we are other people, okay, and we can't forget about the people and the taxpayer. That's who we're responsible to.
Right. Yeah. So Alderman Wilson, what is a choice that you've made in the last 3 years that's led you to where you are today?
Mm-hmm. So I would go back further than 3 years. Okay. I know when I was working at IBM, I've been with IBM for a number of years and made a conscious decision that I needed, I wanted something more, okay, out of life. And IBM has about 400,000 employees, and I had an epiphany of what would be my legacy. And so I invested, time and understanding of local government and how local government was running and operating, all the ins and outs, and came up with a plan to transition, from private sector to, local government. And it was a conscious decision because I wanted to build a community help build a community that my children, if they so chose, that they could return back to Frederick to live, work, and play. And I didn't get that choice growing up in Martinsville, Virginia. Back in 1990, the economy wasn't as it was when I was growing up. A lot of factories were closing, and it required me to relocate. Well, that planted a seed in my head, and I said, wherever I go, I don't want this to happen again, because it split families up. Right. You have families all over, the country. You have family all over the country, and it makes it difficult during holidays, to see each other. I think the Frederick community needs to support a multi-generational community.
Okay, awesome. So Alderman Wilson, I have sat across the microphone from 173 other.
That's a lot, Eric.
Thank you. I've been doing it for over almost 4 years now.
Okay.
Almost 4 years. We hit a new episode almost weekly. There's been a few weeks where we've skipped, but almost weekly for nearly 4 years now. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. So I get to learn.
That's commitment.
It is commitment. It's commitment. It is. It's awesome. So I get to learn by asking the questions of these 173 entrepreneurs, business owners, influencers in the community. I get to take a snippet and take a nugget out and try to adapt it to my life. So I want to flip the script here. And we've met a few times. I don't think you know much about me, but ask me a question. Maybe I can provide some insight to you.
Well, Eric, thanks for the opportunity. I don't normally get this opportunity to kind of flip the script as you described it. But what do you see as your purpose?
Much like yours, mine is to leave a legacy that my kids are proud of. Okay. What I do professionally, that's not going to leave a legacy. Okay. Doing this is a lot of fun. Okay. This is not a legacy leaver. I started Advice Givers to help other business owners and entrepreneurs share their story with an audience. Okay. And to get your story out to the public. What we are doing now is the Impact Club. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Impact Club.
I'm very familiar.
So we have donated $220,000 to 9 local charities, and that's kind of, my eyes have been open in the last 2 years of how much need is in Frederick and how many nonprofits there are. So to help co-found and the Impact Club, where every quarter we're getting together, we're giving away, we just donated $27,300 to the Wells House last week. And that comes in small commitments. Each member commits to $100 a quarter, and all of that $100 goes to the winning charity. So that that's going to be more of a what my kids are proud of
Right.
than what I do professionally to make money.
Yeah, well, Eric, it's kind of in line with my vision of Frederick. I call it One Frederick,
Right.
and it's basically connecting our communities, together under one umbrella. Whether it be through nonprofits, our culture, our restaurants,
Yep.
our public art, okay? But you're connecting downtown to Warmers Mill, to Lucas Village, to our Golden Mile residents out there. It's very important. And what you're doing through Impact and Advice Givers is doing just that. You're educating the community, you're bringing people together. And I thank you for that. One Frederick is where we need to go. And I think with your help, we'll get there.
I like that. So is One Frederick, is that your slogan?
That's my vision.
Okay.
That's my vision of Frederick, and I think we'll get there.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so I need to answer a question that I have myself before I go on to the final two. Okay. 5 aldermen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this has been something I've been thinking about during the interview.
Sure.
So you have 5 aldermen. Do you have a specific area of Frederick, or are there's 5 aldermen because there's 40,000 people in downtown Frederick, and when there's 50,000, there's going to be 6 aldermen? Like, how are aldermen determined?
Okay, well, let's take a step back. So today we have 72,000 residents, okay? In the next 15 years, we're probably going to grow to about 100,000 residents. And that's a very important point. So we may need to start thinking in the future of how our chartered government is kind of organized. Today, we're all at large, so each of us serve the entire city,
Okay.
all 72,000 residents. And that may be effective today. It may not be as effective in the future, okay?
Gotcha.
There are other local municipalities that have a similar charter government. Annapolis, for example, they have a strong mayor, but they have wards, basically districts. Okay, and that's something that we need to kind of think about as we grow.
Well, it's funny. I interviewed Monica of the 10th Ward Distillery.
Okay.
And she had remember this, Rock? She had in her shop that Frederick used to be in wards. Is that correct? Like back in the founding days, Frederick. And so that was why they named their 10th Ward Distillery, because they were in the 10th Ward.
That's
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was history that I never knew about.
Yeah, it's a little factoid that a lot of people don't know about. But just think about it. The city of Frederick is not just downtown.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
We've grown out. We've annexed a lot of farmland in, and like I said, we're probably going to be about 100,000 residents. Does this current, organized form of government,
Right.
Does that serve that population effectively? So something that we need to consider.
Absolutely. All right, Alderman Wilson, so what failure or loss, and this could be personal, professional, prior life, what failure or loss has helped mold you into the person that you are?
Well, I think I can't think of a failure that I take that back. When I was coming out of college, okay, I was trying to figure out what do I want to be, okay, and my parents had a totally different view of what Roger Wilson should be, okay, and I had a different view, all right, and for a long time, I thought I had disappointed them. My parents wanted me to be a police officer.
Okay.
And I wasn't there. I wasn't totally there. I know I enjoyed, being around police officers and, being a public servant. But I still that seed was planted in my head. Being a public servant is good, but I always thought that maybe in another capacity. Okay, and I thought I had failed. My family. Okay, but it turns out 20 years later, another generation later, they're very proud of,
Awesome.
you know, and where I landed in serving my community. So that's the only thing that I can think of right now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And if I know anyone in politics, I know that there are aspirations
Sure.
going forward. And you can go that route in this question if you want, or you can stay personal with your daughters and maybe having grandkids. But so where do you see yourself in 3 years and then in 10 years?
Well, in the last 2 years in my role as the Board of Aldermen, I've been able to accomplish a few things. One is establishing a first ever Youth Advisory Council,
Okay.
which will be a council that will advise the mayor and the Board of Aldermen on youth issues here in the city, whether it be entertainment, whether it be sustainability, whether it be recreation. Okay, so that's one accomplishment. Establishing a senior tax credit, looking out in the next 20 years where that growth is going to be. Our seniors are growing. They're going to outnumber our students in school in 2020.
Okay.
And so we need to address that need. So we were able to establish a senior tax credit for them. The third thing is when we're thinking about a healthy community, we want to make sure that we're providing the infrastructure that allows that to happen, to be realized. And so we put more money into kind of repairing and installing our sidewalks in the city. Right now, there's a lot of rough sidewalks, and you have a lot of trip hazards around the city. So that's something that we wanted to address so that our citizens can enjoy walking and bicycling and crossing the street safely. So these are issues that I campaign on. You know, I enjoy the policy area of being an elected official, but I'm thinking that as we grow, you know, there may be other things that I want to see done. You know, I spoke earlier about my vision for Frederick and looking out 20 years to see what Frederick could be. And I definitely want to build a community, help build a community that betters lives for all, not just a few.
Awesome.
Okay. So I'll make a decision on what I want to run for in the future, but for right now, I'm happy.
You're happy being an alderman.
That's right.
Awesome. Alderman Wilson, I appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, Eric.
You did good. You did good. Listeners, viewers, I hope you enjoyed Alderman Roger Wilson's
Sure.
interview as much as I did. Great guy. He's doing good things. One Frederick. I like One Frederick.
One Frederick.
Keep going with that.
Yes.
I like One Frederick. That's episode 174 of Frederick Advice Givers, and we are out.